Can meditation expand the mind as much as psychedelics can? Well, first off, I should probably start with the necessary disclaimer. Before you use psychedelics, you should check what the rules are with your local laws and regulations. And all psychedelic adventures should be taken upon a very high level education. You should definitely know how it all works before you go down that pathway. Both meditation and psychedelics radically shift what it's like to be us from our regular waking or daily lives. Usually, the state of our consciousness is always shifting. Even when we see different things or taste different things, the qualities of our conscious experience shift and transform into new and normally quite mundane ways. So usually what we consider it feels like to be us doesn't have too much variation. Both through psychedelics and meditation, what it feels like to be us can seemingly shift significantly. It can shift so significantly that it feels fundamentally different to be us in a way that we couldn't even imagine before we've reached the deepest insights of meditation or prior to taking a psychedelic substance. Sometimes the psychedelic community and the meditative community are a little bit at odds with each other. I thought I would just compare or contrast the different nature of these experiences. With psychedelics, you can end up in worlds which are just completely different to this world. And you can also have momentary insights which come from the deepest regions or cross over from the deepest regions of meditation. And if you take the right dose, this is going to happen. It's certain and you guarantee it. However, once the trip is over, you're very much back to your regular world. So in this regard, if you're wanting to experience that fundamental shift in the way it's like to be you, guaranteed is something good about the psychedelics. The momentariness, though, is a bit of a challenge. Normally these shifts can be so significant. They bring a lot of insight back into our regular lives. We might learn some things that can be really positive. It might also be an adverse experience that's on the line with psychedelics too, certainly on the line. But the way that we will then go on experiencing our lives after the trip, it might not feel any different to our regular life. We might just have some new ideas in place. So the new idea might be extremely transformational, but we might very well be back to our regular life. And so that's where the idea of microdosing comes in, where you might transition these experiences you're having on the substances more into your daily life and perhaps eventually be able to no longer be reliant on the substance. With meditation, sometimes when this conversation comes up, a lot of people will say there's no guarantee you reach a fundamental shift in your being. I would say if you've been practicing meditation like that for a while, you probably need better instructions. It is possible with meditation to reach a fundamental shift in your being very soon in your practice and every time you practice. That's absolutely possible. Just a lot of the instructions out there come from certain traditions which don't approach meditation by this way, but some of the more hidden practices of meditation certainly do, and so that is an option. That being said, you still need quite a sensitivity to realize these things in meditation. So the substance, it's definitely going to get you there whether you like it or not. Like, you can take a substance, time will pass, you're somewhere else. Meditation, you'll still need to be quite refined to practice this fundamental shift in your being. Of course, the real benefit for meditation there, and the inverse of the psychedelics, is that what you realize in meditation becomes quite complementary for the rest of your life. You can realize how to shift perspective of how you're being in the world. You can practice that and sustain that in a way that for the rest of your life, you relate to the world in a fundamentally different way. You're in that new experience. And you can also have the momentary insights too. You can have one-off experiences meditation, which are trippy, but it's harder to get into the substantial trippiness of psychedelics through meditation and these one-off experiences too. But they can happen. They can happen. Most of them will be a diluted version, but they can happen. So can meditation expand the mind as much as psychedelics? Yes, I would say it fundamentally can. You can shift your way of being in the world in a way that is very substantial. Psychedelics, it's guaranteed, but you'll probably be coming back to regular life afterwards. Meditation, it's not usually guaranteed, can be, but if you figure out how to do that, your whole life will be transformed in that way from then on. What an interesting question. Personally, I believe that the meaningful impact I'm going to have in this world is going to be done mostly in this regular way that it's like to be me. So it makes more sense to me to develop a practice which supports this, because that's where most of my influence into the connectedness of everyone else is going to be. This is where I need to be skillful to perform compassionately with others. The psychedelic world, although interesting, is just immediately less relevant to me, because, you know, in some of those states I can't even interact or cooperate with others. But there's definitely interesting insights to be had all the ways here. One should be deeply educated in these matters before making any decisions. There's a lot you can just genuinely understand about the health and safety of these things, even with meditation too, which should be the basis of of skillful means. May we discover deep and amazing wisdom, and may that always be safe by our skillful means. Have a lovely day.
If Sonam has helped you, please consider supporting for the benefit of others. Establishing a base engagement is the biggest hurdle for new ideas.